How many of y'all are playing underdog football or playing that puppy? Nick, they still can't hear you. Give me a sec. You know how it is.
How it is.
All right, now they should be able to hear you.
Now they can hear me talk about underdog?
Yes.
Yeah, man, I love underdog. I have done fewer drafts this year, though, at this point last year. I have scaled back. That's a surprise to me. I have scaled back some, but I've still filled out 7, 8, 9 plus 7 is 16, 20 drafts. I've 20 drafts, and I've got 3 more that are 3 slow ones that are currently active. So 23 total. I guarantee you I had probably around 50 this time last year, or at least at least double what I have now. So I have scaled back.
Is this just how it panned out, or was this a calculated?
Well, I have a lot of this was premeditated, just because. Well, I have a lot of trips this year. I am flying across the country 5 different times for 7 combined weddings and bachelor parties.
How many more you got? I mean, you just
3 more.
Gee. Okay.
3 more. I got another bachelor party in 2 weeks, and then I got another wedding at the end of August. And then
where at? I know we're doing this live, but where
at the beginning of October. So I had a lot of travel expenses this year. I didn't do poorly. Actually, I had my best ball season last year. I advanced multiple teams into 2 knockout rounds, so that was pretty cool. But no, more funds had to be allocated to all of the flights that I would be on this year. It had nothing to do with anything else. But still happy to talk best ball or any other fantasy football format that anybody may be interested in. Welcome to Face Mask Fantasy, you guys.
Yes, sir. You already know what's going on, Slim.
Evening. What's up, Slim?
I am trying to fix the live stream because the chat box, because for some reason they're showing up mad dark blue, so you can't hardly see the name.
Wow.
Slim's it's always something. But what's going on, Slim? 70 mocks?
Yeah. I've probably done, between the mocks that we've done on this channel and my best balls, I'm probably somewhere around like 50 total drafts, whether they count or not. And I much prefer, if I'm going to mock, why don't I just throw $1 at it and see if early in the offseason, and see if I build a great team. If I don't, I lose $1. If I do, I gain what? $15? Like, yeah, let's play that game. So that's why I love best ball. You could just throw $1 at it, and instead of mock draft, you can actually build a team, and you may find yourself at the end of the season rooting for that team. Like, you never know. If you're in 11th place by week 12, then whatever. You threw $1 at it, but or
yeah, it's fun.
Cases, for me, $25.
It'll be something that'll keep your interest until the end of the year. So yeah, why not? Why not?
Yep. Big fan.
Slim, you've done 70 more than I have, so props. I have literally done
mocks on the channel.
I've done mocks on the channel, but as far as putting money down on anything, the stupid underdog regulations for Pennsylvania.
You can draft on.
You can, but you can't do pick'ems. You can't do any of that fun stuff. So I've just stayed off the platform altogether until I'm legally able to do all that stuff. There we go. Now it's showing up right. And you can't best ball in Ohio until January 2023.
Underdog still has restrictions.
Yeah. See?
Well, I guess that might not just be Underdog. I don't know if that's also FanDuel and DraftKings. Certain states have certain gambling restrictions. Those are not states I could live in, man.
What's going on, Alex?
What's up, Alex? But yeah, mock drafting is fun. Great way to to prep yourself for the season. What's not showing up in the chat is Slim did ask a question before it got switched over.
Yeah, you got offered London, St. Brown, and a 23 first, and a 24 first for Justin Jefferson. I mean, that's market value. I find it hard to.
I don't want to
want to trade Justin Jefferson. It's almost like him and Jamar Chase untouchable, and honestly, I would put Justin Jefferson a little bit higher on the untouchable ranks than Jamar Chase. I would. I love Jamar Chase, but
I think
Jefferson
I would still put Chase first.
Unquestioned number one. Nobody's coming in and stealing real targets.
Oh, you're talking about Jefferson
from Jefferson.
Yeah, I think I would give the slight nod to Chase just because of the quarterback, but it's splitting hairs. I think Jefferson is phenomenal. What he put up last year, 1,600 receiving yards. He had 7 or 8 more touchdowns. How many catches did he have? 110, something like that. Like in his second year, he's unbelievable. I don't want to trade him.
Yeah, and
there's a little bit of long-term quarterback uncertainty with him, but
that offer isn't bad. I'm just not trading the player.
Right, that's the thing. Like, throw another first and another decent young player in the pool. Like, really sell me on an overpay, and then it's like, all right, you might leave me with no choice.
Give me another two firsts and make it so that I have no choice but to press yes.
Yeah, make it so that I literally can't refuse it. If I can refuse it, I'm gonna with a player like Justin Jefferson. If I can talk myself into any type of refusing it argument, I'm gonna refuse it. I am never going to be on the fence in that situation and then be like, oh, yeah, I'll trade Jefferson for that.
Especially with a young wide receiver. A young running back,
I got to be blown away.
A young running back, the stud running back, maybe. Stud young wide receiver, absolutely not.
I appreciate that you told the league that there's basically a no trade clause on Jefferson.
And I appreciate that somebody still just went and offered you something that sounds like something that I would do.
That is a John move. If I came at everybody and said like this guy's untouchable, the first guy I would hear from would be John about that guy.
Yeah.
Like if I said
and
Kyler
I would offer
Murray's
something like that. I actually did that. I
like,
offered.
What do you want for?
I offered somebody what I thought was a pretty decent offer for Justin Jefferson in a Superflex league that included A.J. Brown, Elijah Moore, Chase Claypool, couple of firsts. Turn it down. No thought. And I respect it. But I also tried to do the exact same thing that other league owner is doing to you. Because those wide receivers with top 3 upside that it would be a surprise if they dropped out of the top 4.
Yeah.
Are impossible to buy. Impossible, like unless you get them in through the draft, they're impossible to acquire. So hold. You can get the guys that are wide receiver 5, wide receiver 6, wide receiver 7.
Mm-hmm.
Getting those top 3 guys that are young. Hold.
Yeah.
Accept that offer, like 6 years from now.
That offer is not going to be there 6 years from now, but at that point, you've probably experienced some excellent high-end wide receiver 1 years from Jefferson.
I don't know. If you told me I could get a 28-year-old Julio Jones, like what would you be throwing at that? Probably an equitable little
couple of
deal.
first-round picks. Yeah, maybe not both young players, but like you could do a couple of firsts and like one of those guys would be like the offer. Something like that.
But I like that. Hold on to Jefferson.
Yeah, I'm holding on to Jefferson. I don't want to trade a guy like that. He's so good. Yeah. Happy to take any trade questions today. We did decide that we were going to do some tight end rankings today, and this is probably, just to be completely fair, the easiest group to rank. So we're happy to deviate here and there. If there are questions in the chat, we're happy to maybe go to those sooner. Because I expect that we might kind of, not intentionally, but kind of speed through the tight end rankings a little quicker than we would. The wide receiver and running back rankings require discussion, require discourse.
And I would say that, once you get past, tight end 10, 11, 12, it might be more of a discussion, and we will probably have that discussion because there is so much value in that range, but that's not going to be a discussion for today. In the top 10, top 12 for tight ends, super solidified, but we still want to go through them with you. And then before we hit on some of those depth tight ends that have league winning upside.
That might be where the true conversation is, but in the spirit of consistency and also chronological order, we will do the top 10 to 12 tight ends today. Maybe those like tight end, that 10, 11, 12 range is maybe where we throw in our favorite flyers. That's typically how tight end rankings go. But yeah, at least I would say the top 8 and maybe the top 9.
Yeah.
Are pretty much locked in. So with that said, as always, if there are any questions, we'll probably get to them sooner today than we would with a running back or wide receiver 13 to 24 ranking stream. So with that said, I'll just kick things off. The tight end one for me is the guy who's been a tight end, or at least the overall tight end 2 for the past 6 years in a row. It's Travis Kelce. He still reigns supreme. He's still the top of the conversation for me. I know Mark Andrews was the tight end 1 last year, but they both had very similar off seasons. Both teams traded away their original 2021 their 2021 wide receiver 1. In the Chiefs' case, it was Tyreek Hill, who has been a wide receiver 1 there for like 6 years. But both Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce have that scenario play out for them. And Kansas City did a little bit more to supplant the vacated targets in free agency than Baltimore did. But Travis Kelce is still an arm and a leg better than, and even more so now, at least as on this, he's better than still every tight end for at least the next couple of years. And he is a supreme elite talent relative to his own teammates. I think he's going to be funnel targets this year at somehow, some way, the highest rate he has seen, because Tyreek Hill is gone. That's 150 targets vacated. The receiver is going to pick up a majority of that, but I think a solid chunk, you might as well just funnel it to the best tight end in the league. He's getting up there in age, did have a couple of down weeks last year, but finishing as a top 2 tight end 6 years running, Kelce's got to be number 1 for me.
Yeah, he's my number 1 guy too. Again, for the past three out of the past 4 seasons, the tight end 1 overall. One of the most dominant stretches from a tight end that we have ever seen. And he had a down year last year that resulted in him being the number 2 tight end. And he has been the number 2 tight end 3 times over the last 6 years. So I don't think that is a sign of him dropping off by any means. Still at 135 targets. Didn't quite hit 100 receptions, but 1,125 yards, 9 touchdowns last year. The guy's a beast. Number 1 in routes run, number 2 in overall targets, and that's a down year, right?
It's a down year.
Right.
He's amazing.
Number one in overall touchdowns. The guy's just a beast. I know he's getting up there in age, and the age might scare away some people. And him not being the overall tight end 1 like he was the past 3 years might scare off some people from him having the number 1 ranking.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I love Mark Andrews, and he's my number 2 guy. But he's been a top 3 tight end once, which was last year. Mm-hmm. Once.
Yeah.
So you just got to give the edge to the vet who's been doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Travis Kelce. I agree with everything you said about the offense. We expect the offense to take a step back. But that shouldn't come at the expense of Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce should be targeted more, even if the offense takes a step back.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not too worried about the offense taking a step back and what that does to Travis Kelce's value for redraft for this season. He's my tight end 1-2.
Yeah, for me, for at least one more season, the conversation, this part of the conversation starts and ends with Kelce.
Been remarkably healthy over the course of his career.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's that guy.
Yep. It was closer than I ever thought it would be, though. Mark Andrews is close to me to where Travis Kelce is because of what the Ravens did this past offseason too. Mm-hmm. Ty just goes to the guy that's been that dude.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Mark Andrews is right in the middle of his prime, just had his first tight end 1 season, overall season, and they got rid of their de facto number 1 in Hollywood Brown. Mm-hmm. Didn't draft a wide receiver. Brought in a couple of blocking tight ends, or tight ends that will be blocking for the Ravens to free up Mark Andrews. So it's Mark Andrews to the moon this year. 154 targets. I think he gets close to that this year, because look at what else they have in the offense. So he's gonna have over 100 receptions. He's gonna be one of the league leaders in receiving yards. He will probably be one of the league leaders in touchdowns, and I expect him to be, by the end of the season, either one or 2. So I like both of those guys. It's just Travis gets the edge. But Mark Andrews, fantasy points per route run, number 1. Dominator rating, number 1. Average cushion, number 1. Yards per team pass attempt, number 1. Total touchdowns, only 1 behind Travis Kelce. Because Kelce, I guess, had a running touchdown last year.
Yeah,
but as far as passing touchdowns, exactly the same. Unrealized air yards for Mark Andrews, number 1. And that was with a backup quarterback for a couple of games last year.
Yeah.
Was still who isn't a great passer. He was still number 1 in unrealized air yards. So this tight end 2 ranking is not a slight to Mark Andrews in the slightest. He's number 2 for me. But it's very close. And then there's a drop off to me. Then there's a tier.
So there's not a drop off here for me.
I know.
There's not a drop off here for me. And I actually grappled with this for a while, like not just like today. I mean, through the off season. And it took me a while to warm up to not Mark Andrews, but Kyle Pitts. I was incredibly at first, without allowing my, things to marinate over after free agency. When Marcus Mariota was signed by the team, Matt Ryan is shipped out, Calvin Ridley's suspended. Like, the initial reaction was like, like, I'm a little worried about Kyle Pitts. This is going to be a really bad offense with a bad quarterback.
With more target competition.
Than
last year.
Than last year?
Yeah.
Who, Pitts?
Yeah.
Well, because Calvin Ridley missed, like... You're going to have to explain that to me, because Russell Gage is gone. And, I mean, they brought in Drake London, but Gage is gone. Ridley played for, the first third of the season. I don't know if there's more target competition.
Okay. Different target competition.
Yeah, different target competition. Sorry, I just was like, I got a little turned around. I was like, what? Yeah, just because Gage is gone, Ridley is for sure not playing at all this year.
Yeah, they okay.
Drake London's in.
Calvin Ridley had him for 6 games. Russell Gage is gone, but they're not gonna be passing nearly as much as they were with Mark Andrews. That's just a fact.
You mean with Matt Ryan?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yes, that's correct. They are not going to.
So
Mariota's
target share, there's just going to be a
target
different target total in this offense by the end of the year. And to me, that means that Kyle Pitts is not a top 3 tight end this year. He's a top 3 tight end in Dynasty. He's a top 1 tight end in Dynasty. Let's be real.
Yeah.
But for redraft for this year, I can't put. I know he did amazing things last year. I can't put Kyle Pitts in my top 3.
I have Kyle Pitts at 2.
Oh yeah,
So,
that's too high, dude.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
it's not. It's not, and I'll explain why. You are absolutely correct. Matt Ryan with Matt Ryan, the Falcons never threw the ball less than 500 times a year. Like 12 out of the 14 seasons, he threw the ball over 500 yards. Half of those seasons, he threw it 600 times. Mariota's never thrown it more than 450 times. So significant difference. And he's never thrown for 3,500 yards in a season. There's no doubt this is a different offense. Trust me, we're on the same page there. This is a different offense. This is going to be a less effective, less efficient, less voluminous passing offense in all ways, shapes, and forms. But what intrigues me about Kyle Pitts is what he did last year, in spite of the disaster that was the Falcons season. Now he gets a quarterback who has never supported a wide receiver 2, let alone a wide receiver 1. But he has supported tight end ones over the course of his
mid-tier tight end.
Yeah,
ones.
well, Delaney Walker is nowhere close to Kyle Pitts' level. So yeah, it's going to be, he might have to come through on extreme efficiency. He had 110 targets last year. Let's say that Mariota maybe the Falcons don't throw the ball more than 400, 420, maybe 450 times. I think he sees 120 targets. And if he comes through in that 80, 85 catch range, and all he does is up his touchdowns because he had 1 last year, gets 6 or 7, which I think he's fully capable of with the other options in this Falcons passing game, I think Kyle Pitts can make that statement, stamp himself as a top 3 tight end officially and moving forward as soon as this year.
Top 3, sure, but having him top 2 is just negligible, dude.
I have him too.
That's crazy, man. I could see him being 3 because I've never been a huge Kittle fan. And this year there are more concerns with Kittle than there were even last year.
Yeah.
For a lot of the same reasons that I'm a little bit worried about Pitts. I'm not worried about so much about Pitts that I'm not going to have him 3 or 4. He's probably 3 for me. But there's no way I can put him ahead of Mark Andrews. Considering what the Ravens did.
I know.
In the offseason and what they did last season, there's no way that I can put Pitts number 2 in redraft rankings for 2022.
That's fair. I understand the concern. And what's going on? We got a few other people trickling in. What's going on, Rojo?
I've always been worried about Kittle. I've been worried about Kittle since Kittle was ranked top 3. I've never been on Kittle as a top 3 tight end. I know he's finished there. I've just never drafted him as such. And when I've had him on teams, I've found a way to get rid of him before I needed to start him. Then Pitts is a unicorn. Pitts did have 1,000 yards receiving as a rookie. Pitts is due for positive touchdown regression, having scored only 1 touchdown. But he's competing with guys that scored 9. I think positive touchdown regression for Pitts is scoring 5 or 6. I don't think he's going to get to 9 because I don't know how often this team is going to be in scoring position with Marcus Mariota.
Yeah.
to Rojo's point, Andrews is basically his team's wide receiver 1-2. I think you're disrespecting Andrews.
I figured you might feel that way. It's not a slight on Mark Andrews. I mean, you from where you're sitting, you might disagree that it is, but it's just I'm that bullish on Pitts. I think he's going to be hyper targeted even in a low volume passing offense. He is going to be funneled 10 targets a game, and not that Mark Andrews won't be. But we're also incredibly high on Rashad Bateman. And you can be high on two guys in one offense. I'm not trying to say that. But if we expect the Ravens to kind of go back to their norm, so to speak, a little bit this year with the return of literally their entire backfield, there could be some lower volume passing games for this offense. Not to the and yes, there's no arguments here. It's not even a question. It's not even a debate. Of course, Baltimore's offense is superior in every way to Atlanta's right now, at every position, in every way. But it's not. I don't know that we're necessarily expecting the same pass rate out of the Ravens that we saw them deploy last year. Would it still be more than the Falcons? Yeah, sure. But there's another high-profile player in this passing attack in Rashad Bateman that Atlanta does not have. So where they may falter in effectiveness, efficiency, scoring opportunities, I think is just Pitts is going to be funneled volume by a bad quarterback. And I maybe I'm calling it early ahead of time, but I'm calling my shot. Mark Andrews is fantastic. I'm calling my shot on Kyle Pitts for as soon as 2022.
I think the yardage might be very similar. The touches, the targets, the catches might be very similar for both players. But what was something that we saw from just bad teams, tight ends on bad teams last year? Even if you smush together what Jimmy Graham and Cole Kmet did last year, they just weren't in the red zone enough to score a ton of touchdowns. That's the differentiator for me. Mark Andrews is probably going to score another 9 to 10 touchdowns this year. Kyle Pitts, I'm expecting some positive touchdown regression for him, but bad teams just aren't in the red zone a lot. And I expect him to just by nature of that, his touchdown numbers not to be as high. He's going to probably see just the same amount of targets, probably see just the same amount of catches, probably see just the same amount of yards and air yards. The touchdowns are going to be the differentiator here, and you got to give the edge to the guy that just finished tight end 1 and has less target competition. Yes, the overall attempts in the offense might go down. Probably will go down. But if you take out 120 attempts from that offense, Andrews is still getting the same amount of targets because Hollywood's gone and they didn't replace him. So his workload is going to stay exactly the same. And he probably, I don't know if I could say that. You can't say he's probably going to score more touchdowns with Lamar in there a full year than Huntley because he went off and was the hyper targeted with Huntley too.
Yeah, he popped with Huntley.
I just think the touchdowns are going to be the differentiator. When you look at just last year, bad teams, their number 1 and number 2 targets just weren't in the red zone to score a ton of touchdowns. Happened to Pitts last year. The Falcons weren't a good team.
Nope.
So it could happen. It could happen because Pitts is that kind of athlete. I just got to just like we're putting edge to Kelsey as the guy that's done it before and has the track record. To me, you got to give it to the guy who has done it and has the track record in Andrews before you put Pitts at number 2. So we're just going to disagree there, but I assume you have Andrews at number 3 then.
Yes.
And we both have Kittle at number 4.
No.
Okay.
No. See, you thought, these rankings might be straightforward. No, I'm throwing curveballs left and right. Mark Andrews is my number 3, but then there's my tier break. So Andrews makes I have 3 dudes high end. That's my tier 1. Maybe that's the best way I can phrase it. Andrews is on that level. The difference is Pitts is a full round plus cheaper. for me.
But again, these are rankings. They're not factoring. We're not talking about who's
we're not talking about
cheaper and
ADP.
again, rankings.
So, but I still put Pitts 2.
Okay.
But I put Andrews 3, and
but
then
I'm not
there's
letting
the tier
ADP
break.
impact my rankings.
That's fair.
Okay.
I am bullish on Pitts, but Andrews is in tier 1 for me. Then there's a tier break, and it starts with Darren Waller for me.
There's a tier break too, and I have Kittle and Waller in the same tier.
Yeah, I think this is the.
And they're both guys I'm not touching.
For me, this is a tier 2. This is like the comfortable, safe tier 2. It's not comfortable, but these guys are still. I don't have a problem with Waller. I share all the concerns about Kittle. I'll take a shot on Waller here and there. He's my number 4, attached to a good quarterback. You maybe more than I have sung Derek Carr's praises, even though we're both in agreement that he's a good quarterback. I feel like you might even feel a little bit better about him than I do, and I like Derek
I feel
Carr.
the opposite. I feel like you might feel even better about him than I do.
All right, so we're not agreeing on anything.
But regardless, we both think that we both like the Los Angeles Raiders. We both like Carr.
Yeah, both of us want to give credit to the other for liking Carr more than the other. Whatever. That being said, he is a good quarterback. It's now looking like a really good offense. They traded for Davante Adams, who obviously soaks up a significant floor, but we expect this offense to take a good step forward this year. When you add a player of Davante Adams' caliber to an offense that they were solid last year, now you expect them to take that next step. This is a good offense where it's going to be difficult to, you can key on Davante Adams, but then you got guys like Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller one-on-one. And they're in the AFC West. There's going to be shootouts left and right, or that's the expectation this year, that there's going to be shootouts left and right in the AFC West. So wouldn't we naturally want to bump up players in the AFC West?
I mean, they were always playing against two very good teams in that. Now there's just 3.
Now there's
there were always shootouts. Now there's just the possibility for 2 more a year. But there were always high octane shootouts in that division.
Well, the Chargers only just got Herbert a couple of years ago.
I'm just talking about compared to last year.
Yeah,
compared to the year before.
Okay, I mean, it's still 6 games on the slate where it's like, ooh, the opportunity here is chock full of opportunities.
Yeah.
And just in general, he's a really good player. Waller is.
He is.
Might lose some targets, but he's still
going to lose some targets, going to lose some touchdowns because for a long time, he was the only big man on that team. They had Hunter Renfrow. They had a running back that they were reluctant to pass to in Josh Jacobs, and they had a couple of wide receivers they didn't trust in Bryan Edwards and Henry Ruggs. Now they have one of the best touchdown monsters in the NFL, the touchdown monster in the NFL from the wide receiver position. And what do we chase with tight ends who aren't top 2, top 3? Touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's still going to be a good bet to be a PPR. I'm not going to say monster, but a very good PPR asset for the tight end position. But coming off an injury, Renfro's still there and one of Derek Carr's favorite targets. Davante Adams there. I'm just not going to have any of Waller, but he is high in my rankings.
Okay. Yeah, I don't mind taking a shot on him. I believe in the player, and the offense is going to be good enough to put themselves into in more than higher than average scoring opportunities. So I'm willing to take the shot. Kittle, I agree. He's my number 5. Kittle feels the diciest of the year in, year out elite tight ends. It's a small sample size, but last year the production with Trey Lance was just not there. And we expect Trey Lance to take over as the starter this year. Despite the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo is still on the roster, Trey Lance is going to be the quarterback for this team. And I think we're going to see more of like an RPO type of offense. We're going to see the, more designed quarterback runs and short throws at the line of scrimmage, which Kittle can contribute in, but he has, he's a little bit more of a vertical threat. And we don't know. We can't sit here definitively and say that we know that Trey Lance is accurate throwing the ball down the field and will target Kittle in those scenarios. I'm not saying he can't do it. We just don't know yet. So given all of those questions, plus the fact that it was only a couple of games, it wasn't much, but it is what we have to go off of. The Lance to Kittle connection wasn't really there. So he's still too good for me to put lower than 5, but he's 5. And yeah, unless his ADP tumbles, it's hard for me to take the plunge when it actually comes time to draft.
Yeah, this kind of goes like a group of guys that I'm cool with investing in, a group of guys that I'm never going to have, a group of guys that I like over the guys that I'm never going to have. Because I like Dalton Schultz this year more than I like Kittle.
Okay, I'm gonna. Rojo's bringing up Zach Ertz. I
like
agree
Zach
on
Ertz more than I like Kittle.
Yeah.
It's just,
you bring up a good
Kittle's
point.
been a guy that has been at Kittle's been a guy. Kittle's been a top option at the tight end position perennially.
That's
so
a guy.
It's hard. There you go. It's. It's been a long week, but
he's an anchor. He's a stud. He's been top 3.
So it's hard to not rank him highly,
right?
But there are guys that I want more than him this year, who I have ranked below him.
Yeah, and maybe this is a bit ambitious, but I mean, I have Ertz in my top. I don't have Ertz over Hawkinson, but I do have Ertz at 7. And I agree. With DeAndre Hopkins missing the first 6 games, and on top of that, Rojo, Ertz is the guy who was most involved in the passing game last year, who I would say has the most continuity with Kyler, who's going to be available week 1. I guess you could argue AJ Green.
I have Hawkinson below for redraft, below Schultz and Ertz.
Okay. I have Hawk 6. I have Hawk 6, Ertz 7, Schultz 8. I'm not as high on. I think Schultz is going to have a good season, but I am not targeting him, I think, as much as you might.
I think he's going to basically repeat what he did last year. I don't think there's going to be a jump for him. But I think he's going to have a good shot to repeat, 800-something yards and 8 touchdowns. I think that there's a good chance that he repeats that.
Yeah.
Because no Amari, CeeDee Lamb's first year is the number 1. No Gallup for the first 6 games, month and a half. No Blake Jarwin. They ran the second most plays in the league last year. Probably not changing.
Mm-hmm.
So I have Dalton Schultz up high. I would rather have Schultz than Kittle. I just have Kittle ranked a little higher. But I have Schultz ranked ahead of, for redraft, Hawkinson. Because, I mean, just give me your reasons for ranking Hawkinson this high. Is it just that he's young and was drafted in the first round? Because if you look at what his production has been, I don't know if it warrants it yet. Outside of Dynasty.
Yeah, so I mean, he got off to it was short-lived, but he got off to a pretty strong start last year. He got hurt, missed a little bit of time, came back, finished the season all right, but then he was out of the lineup again to end the season. I mean, 61 catches. The yards were down from a year ago. I mean, he missed 4 games. His per game numbers aren't terrible.
Never been higher than 7 in fantasy points per game.
Okay. So, I mean,
despite being number 1 in route participation.
Is so outrageous then.
Despite being number 1 in route participation in back-to-back years. And they brought in Chark, and now Amon-Ra is a guy.
He's the guy. Indeed. There's lots of guys on
DeAndre
this show.
Swift. Can y'all hear us? I don't know if y'all... Can y'all hear us?
I don't see any...
Streamlabs is... It's not frozen, but I don't see the audio meters jumping.
Oh, weird.
Please let us know in the chat if you can hear us.
Yeah, I guess that just happened.
That just happened. The screen went black, came back up, didn't shut down, but now the audio isn't showing as...
Rude.
Y'all can hear us. Okay, cool.
Okay, cool.
Technical
Appreciate
difficulties.
it.
Awesome. But a number 5 in targets in 2020, still tight end 7. It's just in points per game.
Yeah,
he hasn't done it yet.
6,
And
I'm not putting him at tight end 4.
Yeah, but we've seen him finish tight end 7 in points per game in back-to-back years. Now he has more competition. Jameson Williams should be coming in halfway through the year. It's kind of like an opposite situation to Schultz. Schultz got targets taken out of the offense and has somebody coming back halfway through the year. Hawkinson has more people in the offense and is getting somebody coming back halfway through the year with a much worse quarterback, much worse pace of play.
Who, Goff?
Yeah.
Wait, much worse than who? Oh, you mean
than Dak?
Yeah.
I like Hawkinson, the prospect. What's going on, Durko? How you doing? What's going on, P. Diddy?
What's up, guys?
What's going on, Hunter? I see you in here. I like Hawkinson. You know this. But for this year, this is kind of, I'm not going to say it's a make it or break it season for him, but it is a what have you done for me season for Hawkinson, for me. Show me that you have high-end upside. Show me that you have true high-end tight end upside, and I'll treat you as such moving forward. Until then, you're falling down my rankings, dude.
I don't know if I'm expecting it high end at this point, top 3, but I think he's good enough to, solidify himself in that top 6 conversation. And he was banged up last year. Missed 4-5 games due to injury. So the numbers, the results would have been there with an opportunity for more work.
Yeah, but I'm talking in points per game. So I'm not talking about end of the year finish. Still finished tight end 7. That accounts for him getting banged up.
Maybe he sees inflated numbers that maybe he caps Amon-Ra's like wild, crazy numbers to end the season. I'm just, it's a rhetorical question or situation because it didn't happen because he did get hurt. I do believe in the talent, and I understand that Detroit added pieces to the offense. I'm also, maybe that helps. Maybe that helps him. Can't key on just one guy. So I'm willing to give him 6 for one more year. I know the offense isn't great and the quarterback isn't good. And
it's a quarterback.
I think the talent is good. I think I believe in the talent.
It's a quarterback who has never supported high-end tight ends.
Well, who were the Rams tight ends?
Tyler Higbee, Gerald Everett.
Yeah, Gerald Everett wasn't ready. Higbee
Higbee was.
Higbee took time. Well, Higbee was never good before. I guess.
No, he had that stretch where he had like 4 games where he was scoring 2 touchdowns a game. Remember that?
Yeah, that was
with Goff. But Goff has never supported a consistent tight end one.
That's fair. I think he has an opportunity to do it this year.
I would rather have Ertz. I would rather have Schultz.
Okay.
But I like Hawk, especially in Dynasty.
Yeah. I have Ertz 7, and then I have Schultz 8. Ertz, maybe I could see putting Ertz over Hawkinson just because he's got Kyler, and DeAndre Hopkins is out for 6 games. Ertz is one of those dudes where he's not flashy. He's pretty boring at this point, but he's rock solid. And there's not much in this offense, right now without DeAndre Hopkins. They acquired Hollywood Brown. We expect that to be good to start the season. And Hunter, I see that was your question. Mm-hmm. We expect the Kyler to Marquise Brown connection to be very strong to start the season. I like Hollywood to maintain some level of consistency this year, but he's going to take a hit when DeAndre Hopkins comes back. So, like last year, and this was definitely lucky for me because Lamar got hurt, but I sold Hollywood high after like week 5 or 6 of the season in a package to get Alvin Kamara. That ultimately kind of backfired, but there were a couple of weeks where Kamara like won the week for me. So it didn't, and Hollywood went in the toilet in the second half of the season. So actually that didn't, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad move. It might be smart to do that again this year if you can. Expect Hollywood to pop off, and then maybe 3 or 4 games in, sell high. He might have another strong couple of weeks, but then DeAndre Hopkins comes back, and you know those heavy workloads and potential for big performances may be a little bit more inconsistent.
Yeah, and because of that, he's not a guy that I'm outright targeting, but he is there in my rankings because that's where I think he deserves to be. But he's not a guy that I expect to have on any redraft leagues this year, because if I'm not getting one of the top few guys and then Schultz, I'm waiting. Like if Schultz doesn't fall to me at a value, if I don't get one of the top few guys, I'm waiting until the Tunyons, the Everetts,
Yeah, sorry. I was talking about Hollywood because Hunter asked the question.
Right, you were talking about Ertz.
I was talking about Hollywood.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Sorry, but the similar logic there is somewhat similar logic that applies to Ertz. But sorry, yeah, I maybe wasn't clear on that. Hunter had asked about the Kyler to Hollywood connection because I brought up Ertz next, so I kind of pivoted to
got you
Hollywood.
That's my bad.
No, it's all good. But that's why I was saying like maybe look to trade him for like 3-4 weeks into the season. He might pop off for another game or two.
I see the comment now. My bad. Yeah.
And then Hopkins comes back and potentially waters him down. Not potentially, maybe likely waters him down. But the same logic applies to Ertz as well. I'm at the end of the day though. I'm probably not trading Ertz
in Dynasty with Kyler and Marquise Brown. DeAndre Hopkins is probably going to be a cap casualty next year so that they can extend Kyler Murray. Because they don't have a ton of cap. We know the cap is a lie. They don't have a ton of cap space. And Hopkins' contract is an albatross that they can probably cut, save some money on. That's probably why they brought in a Marquise Brown, because they knew that they didn't have a wide receiver 1 on the team. Or a guy that could assume that role into the future, or at least solidify that position group, and extend, and then use the money that they get from dropping Hopkins to extend Kyler. It's something that we have speculated on last year before the Marquise Brown move was even made. Now that this Marquise Brown move was made, I do think that this is a move to eventually phase DeAndre Hopkins out of the offense. So if you're not playing in a redraft league, if you are in Dynasty, maybe hold on to Marquise Brown through the lulls that you will probably experience with the DeAndre Hopkins, because I do believe that Marquise Brown will be the on this team moving forward. And they paired him back with his college quarterback for a reason.
Yeah, it should be. They traded a first-round pick for him, so
exactly.
It makes sense. But
yeah, Ertz, Ertz kind of feels like he's like the David Montgomery. You know what I mean? He's boring. You said Matt Forte as another Chicago running back. He's the David Montgomery. You don't feel excited about him. Is he going to be a number 1? Probably not. But he will probably sneakily finish in the top 12, or has that upside at least. Top 14.
Ertz? Top 10.
I'm talking about Montgomery for running backs. To extrapolate that for tight ends, yes, Ertz is probably going to be finishing as a tight end 1 this year, even though it probably isn't going to feel great week to week.
Yep. Yeah, I have him as 7. I have Schultz at 8. Maybe I did let ADP factor that one in a little bit. But for now, I'll leave him there. I guess it's kind of like is it a situation where does he see more attention with fewer weapons to focus on in the Cowboys' passing attack? That being said, he might just be the number 2 option right now.
Yeah. And
so,
KOTJ, Nick thinks that Pitts is going to finish tight end 2 this year. I think he's going to finish tight end 3. Regardless of which way you go, regardless of nitpicking who you have him over, we both think he's going to be a top 3 option this year.
Yeah, I think he's going to pop.
The Falcons will force feed him.
They have no choice. I think he's going to explode. With Dalton Schultz, I guess there might be some ADP factor being factored into me putting him at 8, just because I agree. I think you can expect similar numbers that he put up last year. I think you can expect similar numbers in 2022. It's just that last year you were getting him in the 18th round. This year you have to draft him in the 7th round. So I guess that's maybe like where my bias is coming in a little bit. I just don't like the value as much. But I expect another good season. I think he's going to put up good numbers.
Yeah, he should. Maybe you don't like the draft capital investment, and I don't like the draft capital investment for a lot of these guys, but he should be ranked firmly in that middle tier of tight ends because I think he will finish there.
I guess I got him on that low end mid tier, like put him in 8. I think he's firmly in the top 8. And
his situation did get better this year.
His situation improved. Yeah, fewer less target competition.
Top 4 last year. So I don't know how far you can drop him. But as far as guys that we have outside of the guys that we just listed, this is where I now have Dawson Knox.
This is where I have Knox as well.
And then I have Goddard. I have in the past had Goddard over Knox.
The A.J. Brown acquisition.
And the fact that the Bills didn't do anything to bring in another wide receiver. They are just promoting from within for the first time in a long time under Josh Allen. Just means that Dawson Knox, I believe, deserves to be 9 and Goddard deserves to be 10. Because I don't know how I don't know how many opportunities. Like Dallas Goedert kind of feels like the anti-Schultz to me. Still think he should finish. He has the talent to finish in the top 10.
Oh, he's very good.
Whereas Schultz's situation got better.
Yeah.
Goddard's situation, technically from a target share perspective, got worse.
Yeah.
And O.J. Howard is there for the Bills. Not worried about that. There have already been reports that O.J. Howard just can't cut like he used to be able to after tearing his ACL twice. He just can't do it as a gigantic human because I think he's like 6'7".
Yeah.
He just can't do it as a gigantic human anymore, and he will probably be asked to be more of a traditional tight end and allow Dawson Knox to do his thing. Now, Dawson Knox has never been a reception monster or a yardage monster, but he's going to get those touchdowns in that offense. And with lesser competition, I mean, they replaced Cole Beasley with Jamison Crowder. They didn't replace Emmanuel Sanders, promoting from within. I think Knox has a little bit more yardage upside this year than in the past.
Yeah, and he can go. He can go down the field and be something of like a vertical threat for them at the position. They added Jamison Crowder, they added O.J. Howard, they drafted Khalil Shakir. These are solid depth moves. This is not.
Those are future moves.
Well, Crowder's not.
Okay, well, I'm talking about Cook. I'm talking about
Cook
Shakir.
And Shakir.
I'm talking about
are right. Crowder's not, OJ Howard's not, but they're depth plays. They're depth guys to help you win this year.
Yeah.
Neither one of those dudes impacts the distribution of targets that much. Knox should see something of a promotion in that regard this year.
And he's only 26.
Yeah. So and Allen clearly likes him in the red zone. So almost feels weird having him at 9.
It kind of does.
But there is some volatility concerns based on his recent history. There are down weeks where he just doesn't give you a whole lot.
Where if he's not scoring a touchdown and stuff. But last year we do have to factor in, we factored in TJ Hawkinson getting injured. Dawson Knox broke his hand last year, halfway through the year.
Yeah.
And he still finished as a tight end, the tight end 8 in fantasy points per game and just overall last year.
Shoot.
And he broke his hand.
Tougher than Hawk. Yeah. I don't remember Hawkinson's specific injury.
I don't remember Hawkinson's specific injury either. And I'm not saying he's tougher than Hawk or anything like that.
I was kind of being sarcastic on that. I think Hawk had a back injury. I'm looking this up now because I want to make sure that I have this correct. No, also a hand injury. Crap, he is tougher than Hawkinson. Surgery on his thumb. Yeah, thumb surgery. I guess the thumb wasn't good. Wasn't quite strong enough to come back out there for. Yeah. So no, it's fair. To give that to Knox.
Number 4 in snap share last year, number 5 in deep targets last year at the position, number 6 in target quality last year, number 2 in total touchdowns. That's where his true value is. That's where he has a chance to double up at, not double up at, but do the same thing again. Yeah.
And then with Goddard at 10, which is where I have him as well. I mean, last year he had a good season, 56 catches,
and it feels weird having
yards,
Goddard this low too.
4 touchdowns.
It does.
Yeah, I mean, the glass half. I mean, there's 2 sides to every coin, right? On one hand, it's like, AJ Brown is there, fewer targets. The other way to look at it is, AJ Brown is there. Like, hello, one-on-one coverage for Dallas Goedert. Like, that's there's 2 sides to every coin. But that being said, the concern is this remains something of a low volume passing offense. They funnel targets to their wide outs because they're both, really strong options at the position. Goddard mixes in, catches 50 balls, maybe catches 60 balls. He got, he averaged a good yards per reception average. So there's potential for big plays there. If he can up his 4 touchdowns to 6 or 7, yeah, he's looking at a top 8 finish. There are enough names, though, ahead of him from a fantasy perspective where it makes it difficult to move him higher.
Yeah, Dawson Knox, the guy that is right ahead of him for both of us. Routes run, he was number 8 in the league, had 425 routes run. Dallas Goedert, it's weird. He was 23rd in the league in routes run.
I think he sacrificed something of his season last year when they full on committed to the run game in the second half of the year, and he was just blocking.
That's where they experienced success. That's when they really started kind of clicking as an offense. Well. So that scares me.
Yeah. So maybe 10 is a good spot for Goddard. I am still of the belief that they are going to try to throw the ball more this year. So
he was number 1 in yards per target, number 2 in yards per reception. He is an athletic specimen. He does have an RAS above 9. Both of the guys do, Knox and Goddard. I mean, if Goddard had a more pass happy offense and a better quarterback, it'd be a no brainer to have him as a mid tier tight end with high end.
He's top 6 or 7.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just the offense he's playing in with the quarterback he's playing with. And that's not a knock on Hurts. We like Hurts a lot for fantasy. But from a passing game perspective, he does limit the upside of the players he's playing with. And now Dallas Goedert has more target competition with A.J. Brown in there. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
Just is what it is. We saw
That's
Devontae
120 targets right there.
We saw Devonta Smith not tumble down rankings, but not being ranked really where he should be ranked coming off of a rookie year like he had last year, and it's because of the offense. And we got to give Dallas Goedert the same treatment. Yeah. And it sucks, but we just do.
Yeah. I do think the Eagles throw the ball a little bit more this year, but they're
And
still
those
like
targets,
coming up from.
but those targets go to AJ Brown. They don't go.
Yeah,
necessarily
they
to
go to
Goddard.
AJ Brown, and it's still, even with an increase in work, it's still one of the lower volume passing offenses of the league right now. So, yeah, but from a talent perspective, Goddard's got to be in the top 10 for me. He is certainly capable.
All right, who do you got at 11 and 12?
11 and 12 is Gesicki and Freiermuth, and I saw Durko mention Gesicki taking a jump up the tight end rankings. This is, it's kind of twofold here. Gesicki had a stretch at the beginning of last season where he was like a top 4 tight end to start the year, something along those lines.
And then Jalen Waddle came into his own,
They added Tyreek Hill. Yeah, they added.
I'm just talking about
Hill.
last year, but yes,
right.
Now they added Tyreek Hill. So I don't have Gesicki in my top 12.
I do out of he has shown enough flashes where I'll put him in the top 12, and I agree with the notion of, yeah, there might be more single coverage for him with Hill and Waddle doing their thing on the outside or in the slot respectively. Although Gesicki can go in the slot too.
He was
Gesicki
number 4 in
receiver.
targets last year with 111 targets. That's not happening for Gesicki again. That's just not.
No,
not
I mean
this
it might
year.
go.
And that amounted to him being tight end 14 on the season.
Yeah.
And points per game. That doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel right to me. Gesicki, the talent, deserves to be ranked in the top 10. Gesicki in this offense, again, it's kind of like a Dallas Goedert situation. In this offense, I don't necessarily believe in Tua. They got Tyreek. They got Waddle. We saw what happened when Waddle asserted himself in the offense. Gesicki disappeared. 111 targets and a tight end 2 finish.
Yeah, so let's say his targets come down. And now here's the thing with Gesicki last year. He only scored 2 touchdowns. So just the year before, he only had 85 targets as opposed to 111 or 112 in 2021. He only had 85 targets in 2020, and he was actually better.
Yeah, tight end 8 in points per game.
Because he scored 6 touchdowns. So let's say his targets go down to like 80, maybe he loses 40 targets. Maybe he loses 40 to 45 targets.
So 70.
Yeah, okay, sure. If he can come through on some ridiculously strong efficiency, maybe not ridiculous, but if he can come through on some strong efficiency, which he did in 2020, and if we expect the Dolphins to have, maybe they're not the most spectacular offense this year, but we expect by nature, because we can't do otherwise, expect them to have more scoring opportunities this year. Maybe Gesicki gets back into that 5 touchdown range. So he's going to have to come through on efficiency, not volume. But he has a season where he did do that. So I'll give him the tight end 11. I know you have concerns about Tua and the target share.
I have concerns about Tua target share because it's not just Tyreek Hill. It's Cedric Wilson and Chase Edmonds and a couple of rookies and them,
they added a lot
re-signing
of
Durham Smythe and stuff, and then still having Hunter Long and franchise tagging Gesicki. All that points to, it's not like a running back where they're just going to run him into the ground and leave and ship him off. He's not in their long-term plans. They drafted his replacement, and his replacement got no play last year. Chances are he's going to get some play this year because they need to see if they need to be extending Gesicki or Hunter Long is their long-term option and whatever. So I just, with everything involved around Gesicki, not Gesicki the talent, but everything involved around Gesicki, I don't know if I don't have him in my top 12. He can finish there. On talent alone, he should finish there, but he only has one top 10 points per game finish, and that was 2 years ago in 2020 when he finished tight end 8. So you could question even his true upside. Athletically, he's there, but in this offense, I don't think it's there.
Okay.
I don't think
Who's your tight end 11?
My tight end 11 is Pat Fryermuth. My tight end 12 is Albert O.
Okay, I have Fryermuth at 12, so we're close on that. Alberto, I was going to save for maybe the better conversation of this. Although not that today wasn't spirited, we definitely had our disagreements where I don't think we necessarily expected to have them, or our differences, not disagreements.
We
just
had
differences.
basically everybody in the same tier. We just we weren't in lockstep with every single position.
With every single number. Right. Yeah. Alberto for me is maybe for the more intriguing conversation around the tight ends, which are the depth options this year. Your tight ends 12 to 20, 22, 24-ish.
Here's where I'm coming with where I'm coming from with regards to Alberto. Noah Fant, who athletically is pretty similar to Alberto, the same offense, was tight end 11 in fantasy points per game in 2020 and the tight end 12 last year. And that was with Bridgewater and Drew Lock over the past few seasons and Flacco for a few games. Now they got Russell Wilson. And I know there's a lot of targets to go around in that offense, a lot of mouths to feed if you like that narrative. But Alberto is going to be in the same role that Noah Fant was in, with a much better quarterback, who should finally be unleashed for the first time in his career. We're actually going to see Russ cook. We're actually going to see it. Because he's been freed from Pete Carroll in Seattle. We're actually going to see it. So if Noah Fant, who athletically similar, playing with the same offensive playmakers around him, was able to finish as a tight end 11, tight end 12, Alberto should be able to do that, if not do better than that. So if I have concerns about Gesicki, and a lot of them have to do with the quarterback, I'd rather have the guy with the good quarterback than the guy with the bad quarterback, which is why I pushed Gesicki out of my top 12 and put Alberto in there, even though technically Gesicki has been a top 12 option before, and Alberto hasn't. But, I mean, he's 24. He's going to be 25 this year. And he has the same exact, his best comparable on player profile, George Kittle. He doesn't have an RAS, Alberto. But that's because he didn't do anything at the combine. Because he didn't work out that year. But he has basically the same upside as a Noah Fant, and there's a chance that Alberto finishes higher than tight end 12, tight end 11, and I'd give him more of a chance to finish high at that position than Gesicki.
Fair enough. I mean, the offense we expect to be better.
20 in a rookie draft. 20? No.
Who else is there?
20. Round 20? Or pick 20?
It's got to be pick 20. But who are the rookies that are available there? Who's in that range?
Oh, in a rookie draft. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
In a rookie draft.
Brain fart.
Like a Tyrion Davis Price or who's in that range?
I mean, yeah.
I guess, yeah. Depends on who's there, but honestly, probably, right?
Jelani Woods, we love Jelani Woods. He's 24 years old right now.
Woods is? No, I thought he was 20.
Or he's an older tight end.
Jelani?
Yeah.
I thought he was like 20 years old. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh no, he's 23. He'll be 20. Yeah, he'll be 24 in October. Okay.
So you're getting a guy that's 6 months older than Jelani Woods, who's a starter with Russell Wilson, versus a guy that you're gonna have sit on your taxi squad and wait until Mo Alley Cox and stuff is out of the way in Indianapolis.
I mean, who are we talking about here? Like David Bell, Jalen Tolbert, Isaiah Spiller.
I like Jalen Tolbert, but Alberto.
Woods and McBride.
If Jalen Tolbert's gone, Alberto.
Davis Price. Yeah, I'll take Alberto there. I don't have him in my top 12. Definitely intrigued by Alberto. I guess where my reservation is we just haven't seen it yet, and there is a lot of, well, we think we're pretty sure we think there's a lot of talent in this offense.
There's always been a lot of talent in this offense, and with Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock, Noah Fant was able to finish tight end 11 and 12, and I just think with an upgrade at quarterback, the tight end 1 for this team should be able to finish at a tier equitable, at a point tier equitable to that or higher.
Okay, I mean, if everyone's healthy though, like Sutton's healthy, Judy's healthy, the running backs are healthy, that would be the first time that everybody's operating on the field at the same time for the Broncos, at least this unit, this group. That's my only thing. And I don't have Alberto like so significantly far. It's not like I'm like, he's out of my top 24. That's not what I'm saying here. I just, from him specifically, I have not seen it. Whereas Freiermuth, we saw last year a 7-touchdown season as a rookie. And then all the other names, the Knoxes, the Goddards, even the Gesicki, even if it's just 1 year, we've seen it. It's been done. So that's why I have to have Alberto maybe around that like 13, 14 range, not quite cracking the top 12.
Okay.
But he's right there. And I do think that the conversation, see how quickly we did that. We basically wrapped that up in like an hour and 15 minutes with a couple stoppages in the chat here and there. The top 12 tight ends are, again, for chronological purposes and just for doing, crossing our T's and dotting our I's, something that we wanted to make sure we do. I think the true conversation is going to start with who are our tight end sleepers, where we're not ranking these guys as tight end ones, but these are the guys we like to supplant those guys that are listed 9, 10, 11, 12, maybe even higher, and have that boom season, even if it's just for 1 year. And they're a top 5 option at the position. That's where the conversation really gets fun. That's where the tight end conversation, I think, really starts this year. And I think it's a viable and worthy conversation to have this year that maybe wasn't necessary to have over the past couple of years, because for the first time in a couple of years, the tight end position, top to bottom, doesn't feel like a barren wasteland.
It's the deepest this position group has pretty much ever been.
I don't know, at least for the past, 3 years.
I mean, yeah.
At least for the past 3 years. And there are a lot of names that we like with ADPs probably outside the top 150.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a time in my time in playing fantasy where there are multiple guys that I like, that can be had, after round 12.
Yeah.
Usually there's one.
Yeah.
And not 5. Yeah. So, Alex, as far as your draft, either of those picks, 20 and 21, pick the guy that the best player that falls to you, maybe a Jalen Tolbert, something like that falls to you, and then Alberto, yeah. Don't pick him at 2-3 though. That is too high.
No, I think
2-3 is too high.
If you can get like a Rashad White, or a Damian Pierce.
At 2-3, if you can get a Jahan Dotson, if you can get
if Dotson's there,
if you can get a Pickens, if you can get a
take those guys over Alberto. But if he's there at 20, 20 or 21, if you want to take your favorite rookie at 20 and Alberto at 21 or whatever, it doesn't matter. If he's there, yeah, scoop him.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And Durko's sleeper Hayden Hurst, yeah, he'll be in our
he'll be in that conversation.
Be in our top our 13 through 24 rankings for sure.
Yeah.
We saw what CJ Uzoma did last year. Hayden Hurst is a more complete tight end than CJ Uzoma.
Yeah.
And that offense should take a step forward with a better O-line and just Burrow having more years in the league. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it should be a good year for Hurst because his past 2 opportunities, he lost out to Mark Andrews and Kyle Pitts respectively. There's just not a whole lot you can do about that.
Yeah, that's bad luck.
There's just not. He got drafted by the Ravens, and then Mark Andrews
Higher than
was
Mark
like,
Andrews,
"Oh,
right? Yeah, they
yeah,
drafted two
first
tight
round
ends
pick.
in that.
Andrews was a third round pick.
Yeah.
Nothing. That's just Mark Andrews showing up and being the better player. Hurst gets traded to Atlanta, and then next thing you know, they draft Kyle Pitts, 4th overall. So that's just a rough luck of the draw for Hayden Hurst. No, he's not on that level, but he can be a low end tight end 1, and he will absolutely fit the conversation when we have that next week at some point. I don't know when specifically, but we'll figure it out. I don't know if it'll be Tuesday or a member stream or Thursday. That'll be where the conversation.
Tuesday. Let's shoot for Tuesday. I think
tight end, the tight end sleeper conversation.
Yeah,
could be a good one to have. Yeah, we'll plan for that for Tuesday, right after the holiday. And again, that's I think that's the true conversation about the tight end position this year.
Yeah, you got your Cole Kmets, your Hunter Henrys, your Brevin Jordans, your Irv Smiths, your Adam Troutmans,
Gerald Everett, Mo Alley Cox, Irv Smith.
Yeah.
There's a lot of names.
Mike Gesicki
here. Noah Fant. Mike Gesicki. Yeah, real up and coming. Yeah, there's lots of names this year. Cameron Brate, hell.
Yeah. Cade Otton,
everybody's
favorite.
Yeah.
I saw a comment there about Gucci D from Slim.
Ricky
I'm guessing
Seals
that's
Jones.
Greg Dulcich.
Yeah,
he's gonna be the new Alberto, who topped out at 300. I like that name. They topped out at about 300 yards and a handful of touchdowns, if that. I think that's what Greg Dulcich's role will be moving forward, if he even gets there. He doesn't have the athletic ceiling that I like to chase. He's not an RAS above 9 guy. He fits in more with your Adam Troutmans, Dan Arnold's, Tommy Tremble's, your 7 and 8 RASs. Greg Dulcich isn't that elite athletic upside guy. He should be a good all-around tight end. People loved him as, the tight end 2 in this draft class. I wasn't there just because of he's technically athletically capped. But he's still a good prospect. He had a RAS of 7.8.
It's pretty good. I mean, that's good. That's good enough.
It's just out of the elite range, because the elite range is 8.5.
Yeah.
Actually, looking at it, he once his numbers were filled out a little bit more, he has a RAS of 8.2. And the RAS comps for him are not good. They're not good. Jacob Hollister and a bunch of guys I've never heard of before.
Yeah, no.
I'm gonna do a little bit of searching here to find other guys around that around that number. Give me a
I mean, yeah, he's gonna be. Rookies are always gonna get buzz in the off season because they're getting the most exposure, right? They're getting the most playing time right now. Even the ones drafted high. The veterans are getting their maintenance days. They're not having to report to voluntary OTAs. They're not going to. And in mandatory minicamp, you can bet for sure that the vets are doing very little. So it is an opportunity for the rookies to kind of make a name for themselves. But Gucci D's got an uphill battle to doing anything this year. And that's not a slight on him. It's very difficult as a rookie tight end, especially when you're like a day 2 pick or a day 3 pick. Like, you've got some development.
We're literally looking at Mo Alley Cox, Adam Troutman, CJ Uzoma, Jacob Hollister, Jermaine Gresham, and Hunter Long as the guys in the range of that RAS. Ladarius Green, who was hyped and never turned into anything for the Chargers. Anthony Fasano, Martellus Bennett had a decent few years there. Austin Hooper, and Jonnu Smith. Those are the guys that are in the range for Greg Dulcich. If Greg Dulcich can turn into Jonnu Smith, then I'd be happy with that. But still, that's not a league winner by any means from the tight end position, which is why he wasn't somebody that we were touting as a top 2 RB or tight end in this draft. Foster Moreau is has an RAS of 9. I just saw you threw Moreau in there. Moreau is above 9.
Yeah, he's an interesting long-term player.
You said Brait and Hurst and Lazard and Mariota and Trubisky are available as well. 10-team league, not tight end premium, but it is super flex.
Lazard
is interesting.
Lazard.
Yeah, man. If at 20 and 21, if you can pick up 2 vets there for a win now squad.
Yeah.
I know it's a rookie draft, but we talked about the depth for this rookie draft just not being there, as in terms of long-term high-end upside. So if you can get a guy like Lazard, anyway. If you can get a guy like if you can get a guy like Alberto at 20 and 21, yeah, that sets you up well. And I bet you other people are higher on the rookies, so they're probably going to be there.
Yeah.
Moreau, too. That's why you were talking about Moreau. He's in there. I would still rather the other guys.
Yeah. Yeah, give me Lazard and Albert.
Slim. Isaiah Likely has been working from the slot in Baltimore. Maybe they turn him into a bigger wide receiver. Maybe they're going for the cost savings there at the tight end position because they don't have to pay tight ends as much as wide receivers.
True.
Maybe they're doing that Patriots thing. I'll believe it when I see it in NFL games.
I mean, a 4th-round pick, right? I mean, it's just going to be...
4th-round pick, tight end.
It's different having expectations for rookie wide receivers than it is for rookie tight ends. They don't fire right away. They don't. Like, even the top guys now, outside of Kyle Pitts, who is a unicorn, did not fire right away. Travis Kelce did not fire right away. Took him several years.
And I'd rather have Charlie Kolar in that offense than Isaiah Likely. Because Charlie Kolar is the guy with an RAS above 9. Isaiah Likely is not.
Okay, so there you go. Kolar's the better athlete.
Yep, and that's, again, what I chase in my model. As far as Jarvis Landry or Paris Campbell for this year, Jarvis.
Landry.
I like how we're finishing each other's sentences.
Yeah. Yep. That was good. Landry, Slim, and as I'm as in, I won't say as much as I like Paris Campbell, as intrigued as I am by Paris Campbell, this is not a question. Landry has been a rock solid wide receiver 2 like his whole career, and goes to a somewhat stable situation, and he goes home. Remember, Jarvis went to LSU. Now he's with the Saints.
I was just watching a video from the Fantasy Doctors, who normally I don't tune into in the middle of the off season. Normally that's a YouTube channel that I tune into in season to keep up on these the injuries and stuff, so we can give you guys like actual doctors analyses on things instead of just saying, dude broke a leg. But
true.
I was watching a video where one of the doctors from Fantasy Doctors was watching a video that Michael Thomas put out of him jumping on one leg up on some boxes, basically showing that he was rehabbing and was able to explode off of his one leg that has been injured and plagued him.
Mm-hmm. Working his way back.
The Fantasy Doctors said, this is not this. If this is all he's doing right now, if this is all that he's willing to show us right now in terms of recovery, it's not good. It's bad, and they're staying away from him. If all he can do right now at this point in his rehab is use that leg to jump up a few, like a foot.
Yeah,
which is
he's not
impressive
getting
for
much
people like
explosion.
us. But like, if
Right,
we're
but-
talking about NFL players who are going to be asked to cut at sharp angles, play after play after play, while being bared down upon by some of the strongest and fastest people in the world,
Yeah.
it doesn't bode it doesn't bode well for an aging wide receiver if that's all he's willing to show us in terms of his rehab as it stands right now. And that's according to doctors, and I'm willing to trust them. So with that in mind, Jarvis Landry could be... He was just on the Cleveland Browns, where everybody thought of him as the number 2 target in that offense. Perennially, he showed he was the number 1 over Odell.
Yeah.
He might be now in the same type of situation. Now, I know Olave's there, but he might be starting the year as the de facto number 1 wide receiver in this offense for the Saints.
Yeah.
Because he is that good, and he is that savvy, and he's just a really good all-around wide receiver.
He's a damn good player. He's a solid NFL receiver. Just rock solid.
So there you go.
Yeah, he should be. If there are lingering and long-term issues with Michael Thomas, I mean, Landry operates as the de facto number 1 in that offense. It's a different player that Jameis that we usually see working with, but he could, I mean...
Could he be the Chris Godwin?
I was just about to say, he could be Jameis's Tampa Bay Chris Godwin. He could be the New Orleans... Landry could be the New Orleans version of Chris Godwin for the Saints. And when Jameis was throwing the ball to Chris Godwin, Godwin finished the season as the wide receiver 2. Will Landry be the wide receiver 2 or even the wide receiver 10 on the season? No, not going there. But can he go back to being a rock-solid wide receiver 2 for dirt cheap?
Can he be the wide receiver 18? For 14th round tender for you, Slim?
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if he's the wide receiver 24, that's still a win for you.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, take that. And
he's a low-end wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3. That's a win for you.
Take that and run with it.
And I think that's Jarvis Landry's floor when healthy and in a good situation. Because he was solid last year, and the Browns' season went in the tank, and Baker Mayfield's elbow or arm or shoulder went to shit.
And Baker, even at the height of his powers, when he was winning playoff games and leading the Cleveland Browns to their first playoff berth in 20-something years, he wasn't technically a fit with Jarvis Landry. It was just what he had to work with.
Yeah.
Jameis was probably a better fit with Jarvis Landry than Baker ever was.
Yeah, well, Jameis is 30 interceptions and all, a more accomplished quarterback from a numbers perspective.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, give me Jarvis.
Yeah, they can bond over some crab legs. P. Diddy, is Trey Sermon a drop in Dynasty at this point? Not yet. Not yet.
Depends.
I don't think so. Not yet.
Who's out there? Like, if you can take a shot, I'll go right back to that first question, like Paris Campbell or Trey Sermon. Like, yeah, I might kick the tires on Paris Campbell, but like, I don't know, who's most recently been in the news as far as like a random free agent signing? Like whoever that might be over Trey Sermon? No.
Again, Trey Sermon was brought in to be Trey Lance's running back as a zone running back. And they also brought in Elijah Mitchell because they liked the athletic attributes that he brought to the table. Trey Sermon didn't work out for whatever reason in year 1. But when Trey Lance played, Trey Sermon played too. And Trey Sermon got 80 yards on the ground. If for some reason injuries happen and they're forced, like I could see a road to Trey Sermon getting, RB2 reps behind TDP if Elijah Mitchell went down, and that garnering him low-end RB3 value, and in which case you're going to be kind of like, why did I drop him after 1 year where he didn't play? I think I'm 1 year away from dropping Trey Sermon. I'm not high on his prospects, but he was a third-round running back. I don't know, just based off of that principle, I'm willing to give up on Trey Sermon after 1 year.
Yeah, he's got to have one more shot.
Where he got into the coach's doghouse, and it's a coach who's notorious for just throwing players into his doghouse on a whim. I'm not saying he's going to get out of that doghouse anytime soon, but I want to wait 1 more year before I cut ties with Trey Sermon, even knowing that he gave me absolutely nothing last year.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting much, but I'm going to wait 1 more year.
Yeah, I got 1 more season.
Slim is here for his daily Saquon season post. Love it.
Do it.
And Alex, you have Landry on this team too, so it feels like y'all are talking about my squad. Hey, we like to hear that. That's a good pick for you.
We're happy to help. I said all offseason, I was like, give me Jarvis Landry.
Slim, which second-year wide receiver has the biggest upside after Mike Pittman? I mean, Rashad Bateman's right up there.
Well, Pittman's you mean because Pittman's a third-year player, or do you mean like following what Pittman just did in his second season, like who could take that next step? If that's what you mean, then yeah, I mean, I agree. Bateman is a prime.
Bateman's up there.
Prime candidate for
Elijah Moore is a candidate to for his role to grow, even with them having a Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
Amon-Ra could show some more consistency, and while he might not have the same numbers that he did towards the end of last year, I mean, just a little bit more consistency in that offense with less target share. I mean, he could have some pretty decent upside too.
I guess I might be being a little facetious with this, but like the biggest upside of any second-year receiver is Jamar Chase.
No, come on, bro.
I mean, just like he could, but like I guess I'm saying like he could.
He's already ahead of Michael Pittman. Like we can't. Come on.
No, but I don't think the comparison is Michael Pittman. Like who's
Slim?
better?
Did you just mistake with the second year and meant third year, or were you just? Did you forget that Michael Pittman had that carpenter?
Jamar Chase could had a phenomenal season last year and could have a better season this year.
Oh yeah. No, nobody's gonna disagree with you there. But sometimes I forget that Michael Pittman has really been in the league for 3 years, and his first year was he was sidelined by that carpamentalization syndrome or whatever in his leg. Remember? They were worried that they were gonna have to cut off his leg.
Oh God!
It was carpamentalization.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I don't know the exact terminology, but he was absent for like 8 weeks.
Okay, I apparently have a short memory, but I believe it.
But yeah, I mean, Bateman, Elijah Moore, yes, of course, Chase.
I mean, yeah, but right on a more realistic, answer to the question, I would say Bateman. First round pedigree. The Ravens traded their other starting wide receiver.
There's actually a lot of guys who are second year wide receivers who could have some good upside. You like Rondale Moore?
I'm intrigued by Rondale Moore. I'm not pumping him. Like I'm not.
You like Terrace Marshall?
Yeah, I mean, again, intrigued by Terrace Marshall. There's no quarterback in Carolina, so there's only so much upside that any one player could have in that offense. But I mean, Robbie Anderson is like threatening retirement. I mean, Terrace Marshall's not too far away from a more significant role. He's just flying under the radar right now because he didn't do much his rookie season. I think he got hurt last year, and then on top of that, Carolina needs a quarterback. So yeah, these are guys that I'm intrigued by, but I'm not predicting they take that next step for a variety of reasons. Maybe Rondale's a little better this year. Rondale's also 5'7", and I root for a guy like that where the odds are naturally against you, but the odds are naturally against you.
But there are a lot of second-year wide receivers. I mean, look at this. Look at this class: Jamar Chase, Elijah Moore, Terrace Marshall, Rondale Moore, Jalen Waddle, Rashad Bateman, Devonta Smith. If you like Anthony Schwartz, Josh Palmer on the Chargers. Forget about him. Kadarius Toney, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Nico Collins. This class was deep.
This class was solid. This class was rock solid.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase makes it actually very, very good.
Yes.
But it's a good class. It's a very good class with lots of good players.
And as far as true third-year players, I mean, there are a bunch of those guys too.
Well, I mean, Pittman is very close to the top of that conversation. As a third-year player, could break out yet again.
Ayuk.
Yeah.
Judy. You like Judy a lot.
I am intrigued by Judy.
Claypool has some upside.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson has some upside. While we're naming Jamar
upside.
Chase, I mean, Laviska Shenault has gotten some good reports thrown his way this offseason. CeeDee Lamb has very, very good upside. T. Higgins, very good upside. This is back-to-back, almost borderline historic wide receiver classes here. Van Jefferson, sleeper.
I like Van. Van's currently being drafted as the wide receiver 64 or 65, and he finished as a wide receiver 3 last year. Just FYI.
And they did, yes, they brought in Allen Robinson, but they did lose their number 2 wide receivers from last year.
Yeah.
They brought in a number 2, but
I mean, yeah, there's lots of really good young players.
Nick's boy KJ Hamler.
I mean, Darnell Mooney. Is he
Nick's
a third-year
favorite
player?
sleeper on the Broncos, KJ Hamler.
KJ Hams.
You know.
Yeah. Who else is a second or third year player?
Gabe Davis.
Gabe, yeah, true.
Babe Davis.
Bay Davis.
Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney is a third-year wide receiver. Yeah, okay.
I think he's a third-year player.
He's a third year.
I don't know if Jacoby Myers is a third or fourth-year player.
I don't know about that one.
He's interesting. The running joke on Twitter is that Amari Cooper is still only 24 years old, so interesting third-year breakout candidate Amari Cooper.
Weird.
It's just, Twitter's an interesting place for funny things. Every time anybody comes up, it's I can't believe Amari Cooper and this guy are the same age. It's they're not, but it's funny. Kind of like how also on Twitter, anytime a car gets stolen and there's a police chase, it is a Dodge Charger. That's the running joke. Every car that gets stolen is a Dodge Charger.
And every player getting injured affects Marlon Mack.
Yep. Or Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Oh, is he the new Marlon?
Amon-Ra is the new Marlon Mack. So anytime a player gets signed, when Kevin Durant requested a trade earlier today, the first reaction was well, how does this affect Amon-Ra St. Brown?
The sun god, obviously.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, he's the sun. The light touches everything.
Get out of here. Oh man.
Amon-Ra. I took him in a Superflex puppy just yesterday, but I had Goff, so I was let me pair these two.
Cheap stack.
So, cheap stack. Not too bad.
That that cheap stack.
Nailed it. Are we holding Jordan Love in Dynasty in a Superflex league? And you say 2 QB? Yes. I don't feel great about it, but yes.
I mean, you're holding guys like Kellen Mond. You're holding the number 2 quarterback on pretty much any team.
He might be a career backup, but for right now, I'm holding him.
Like, you're not technically dropping your Kyle Trasks. You're not dropping your... You're holding all those guys.
Your Ian Books.
Sam Ellinger, you know?
Yeah. He's got some interesting upside because he can run.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm holding on to Jordan Love. I'm not particularly high on his prospects in the NFL, but you got to hold on to a number 2 quarterback. Kind of for the same reason I advocate holding on to a number 3 running back that you just drafted in the 3rd round. Because if you drop Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers gets injured, you lost a QB2.
Right.
For nothing. For no reason.
Even if he only throws for like 150 yards and 1 touchdown, 1 interception, it's like I'd rather have that option than have no option as a backup.
Yeah.
Right? Like he might be topping out at like 12 fantasy points for you, but like if that's your flex spot, your super flex spot, 6 or 7 times out of 10, you're gonna be like, this was the move. This is what it might be 15 points, but it's 15 points. Chips in 15, 20 yards on the ground.
Yeah, and that's the ceiling for anybody. Like you're hoping your wide receiver 2 gets you 15 points. You're hoping for more than that, but I mean, for consistency's sake, you're hoping your wide receiver 2 gets you 15 points. I mean, if your QB2 gets you 15 points as like a baseline, I'm cool with that. So you hold that because the points that a quarterback can get you are more than the point totals that other positions can on an average basis.
Yep.
You can drop Ryan Fitzpatrick though.
Fitz can sadly be let go.
I haven't dropped Gronk yet in the one dynasty league where I have Gronk.
That's fair.
I just think he's coming back, man. I'm gonna probably hold him all year.
That's fair.
I know you have an Antonio Brown share, right?
Yeah.
What are you doing with that?
He's probably done, but I'm hanging on to him.
Exactly.
Just in case it's week 7 and he's just like, I feel like playing now. Like, you never know with these guys. Wait and see what happens. Things happen and things change quickly in the NFL when the season starts. And even a guy like Jordan Love, his value will go up during the season, even if he's not playing. Because at that point now we're one off season closer from whenever Aaron Rodgers' last season is in Green Bay.
And there's no guarantee he plays out. Aaron Rodgers plays out his whole contract.
Right. What if the Packers bomb out this year? We're not expecting it, but what if they flame out in the playoffs again? Or God forbid, what if they miss the playoffs? I'm not predicting that or expecting that, but weirder things have happened in the NFL. What if Rodgers is just like, yeah, nah, screw it. Let's find another place to play this year. All of a sudden, Jordan Love has tremendous value. Could be included as a piece in a trade package, maybe to the person who has Rodgers, maybe to somebody who's just desperate to have a young quarterback to stash and hang on to. You turn that plus something else into something that helps you. Yeah. Hold quarterbacks right now. Their value only goes, especially backups, their value only goes up during the season.
Yeah, just look at what happened with Jacoby Brissett. If you, for some reason, we're holding a Brissett, or we're holding a Mariota last year, or we're holding a Mitchell Trubisky last year when they were all backups. Yeah. Look at what happened 1 year removed from that. They're all prospective starters. Yeah. If you were holding a Drew Lock and a Geno Smith, if you were holding Geno Smith last year,
that worked out.
Like, come on.
Well, maybe I don't know if worked out, but like there were 4 or 5 games.
His value has appreciated.
Like, I can play him.
I'll say.
Yeah. Right.
And Slim, USC and UCLA headed to the Big Ten is going to be a Big 3 conference for the next 20 years.
Was that
in the next
just
20
announced?
Years. I need to start paying more attention to
Was that just
announced in general? That's one thing that I haven't.
It was a few hours ago, or planning, by 2024. Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be, what in the world? What is the point of this? Like, why? Okay. Yeah, it's just super conferences that are looking to make even more money. What a weird conference for them to be joining, but They don't exactly have the football programs to go join the SEC, even USC.
And some news that dropped right before we went live. I guess Deshaun's disciplinary hearing with the NFL has concluded after 3 days.
Okay.
And then followed up by another report that the judge, Sue Robinson, is not expected to rule on the Deshaun Watson case before the week of July 11th. So we're going to have to wait a little bit longer, but apparently the end is coming for that saga. But
yeah,
back to this college situation.
Yeah. And the Trojans official Twitter account did just announce that USC will join the Big Ten Conference in 2024. So that is official. Got to imagine UCLA isn't far behind. Those two are bitter rivals. I think where one goes, the other follows. So yeah, wouldn't be surprised if UCLA is also headed to the Big Ten with full confirmation shortly, if not already. Yeah. The Power 5 conferences are about to become the Power 3 conferences with lots of money to the schools and I guess some more interesting short-term matchups where you see like Ohio State and Wisconsin and Michigan and Penn State playing USC and UCLA every year, which is like has never been a thing, but here we go. Yeah, giddy up. 3 super conferences, because Texas and Oklahoma are also moving over to the SEC. Like the Big 12, Pac-10, they're like going by the wayside.
I gotta start. That's something that's been on my mind recently. Is starting to watch college football because that's not something I've never tuned into. I've always just been an NFL only spectator.
It starts for you this year.
But yeah, now that we're running this channel and we're doing all these draft profiles a year ahead of when these guys are being drafted, now I need to see these guys on the field. So I am going to be watching a whole lot more college football. I know my girlfriend is probably not. That's not what she wants to hear. But I'm going to be watching a lot more college football this year. Then
I woke up and realized I was like, crap, I need to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, kind of.
I'm going to spew my nonsense to the folks who are willing to come and hang out with us multiple days per week.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I just need I need a team.
You need a team
or a conference or some. I don't know how you approach college football from a fan perspective.
I root for the underdog.
Do you have like a certain college teams you follow?
No, I root for the underdog. I just root for big teams to lose.
Okay, fair. I can get on board with that.
So when I worked in Virginia as I was working in news, I quickly became surrounded by a lot of college football fans.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember those days.
I was a news anchor for a little while. Yep.
Can you guys tell?
They're like no. My coworkers, my colleagues, I had a lot of college football fans that I was surrounded with. And the 2 teams that everybody hated at the time were Alabama, because Alabama is perennially number 1 and they kill everybody every year. And the other team was the team that was that weird, they come from a weird conference, but they're undefeated and they break the college football rankings. And that was Boise State. They were coming from the Mountain West Conference. They were always a solid team, but nobody ever thought they could actually hang with all of the big opponents. And if they ever had to face like a Power 5 schedule, they would be 500, this, that, and the other. But they would always break through to a big bowl game. And more than a couple of times, they won that game. And I know it set off college football fans during bowl season. So I would always like facetiously say I root for Alabama and I root for Boise State, and my coworkers at the time hated me for it, but I guess that's how I roll. So I don't root for. I mean, Boise State has since. I don't think their program is relevant any longer, or hasn't been for a couple of years. Alabama, of course, is still perennially number 1, although Georgia did beat them this year. Go Bulldogs! So I will root for the team that has not won recently, or the team that is the underdog, or anybody who's playing Notre Dame. That's about it. I will root for that team. But I don't have a one specific Division I college football team that I consider myself to be a fan of. I watch for the love of I love football. And that's why I'm able to turn it on and just kind of enjoy a Saturday with very little at stake other than just, getting the opportunity to check out, some good players on good teams.
Now, I was always under the impression that you kind of needed a team to root for in college, even just with the college football rank.
I mean, not me.
So,
maybe some people.
Knowing that you really don't have to have a team that you're tied to.
I don't.
Is good. So I'm going to be tuning into a lot more college football this year because I want to see where these running backs shake out. I want to actually see Keyshawn Butte and Jackson Smith and Jigba before I start doing these draft profiles on these guys and look at highlights.
Made some big plays last year where it was like, oh, this guy's good. Yeah, he was fun to watch.
Yeah, so it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
There you go. I think that takes us to the end of the chat, and it was somewhat of a shorter conversation today, just going over the top 12 tight ends. The only real discourse was just like the specific positions that John and I had for each of the top 12 names. There were a couple of differences.
We butted heads on where to rank Pitts, but at the end of the day, we had him a spot. A spot,
two spots apart.
One spot apart, not even two.
Right.
So we pretty much agree for the most part. Where we're really gonna diverge in our rankings is with this next set of ranks. So stay tuned for that. That will be coming next Tuesday. Thank y'all for all the questions in the chat. Always fun. I got a new name out of this live stream, Gucci D.
That one's gonna stick.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna use that.
I'm rooting for Dulcich.
I'm gonna use that until the end of time.
I'm gonna be rooting for Dulcich just now based on the name. I don't root against Bama so necessarily. I mean, yes, like it's. I don't actively root against them. The way I'm sure most college football fans who actually care about the results do. But yeah, like when I've rooted for Georgia in the championship game because I've seen Alabama win a title like 7 times in the past 10 years or whatever it is. Like I've seen that play out. I have no problem rooting against them in the championship game, but if they win, I don't lose sleep that night. It's just like, oh my God, like they did it again. They are the program of programs. But yeah, so rooting against Notre Dame, I can get behind that anytime. And I'm sure there's lots of people who are Notre Dame fans who, maybe even some of them tune in. Nothing personal. Just good old fun. I like rooting against Notre Dame.
Yeah, and that's another reason for me to tune into college football right here is Archie Manning is going to be in the college football ranks now.
Yeah, and
they
got
Quinn
a top
Ewers,
32 receiver to sign too. I'm blanking on his name, but they got a yep.
And Quinn Ewers is going to be a quarterback to watch, and right. I'm going to need to draft some quarterbacks in some dynasty leagues coming up pretty soon.
Scout Arch.
Yeah,
scout Arch.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not going to be ready till 2024.
Hey, that's fine. I got a few 2024 picks already.
Got to coach him up, right? Got to coach him up.
Yep.
So the Manning effect is back, baby. We are not done with Mannings just yet.
We will never be done with Mannings.
No, there will be more Mannings. There's always more Mannings. Anyone who is still watching, if you haven't joined the Discord, you can keep the conversation going over there. You do not have to be a channel member to join the Discord. It is the second link in the description of this live stream and all of our most recent videos. So feel free to check that out if you're interested. If a question comes up or a trade scenario comes up that you want to talk through, we're there to help out. Actually, there's a couple outstanding questions in the Discord that I need to get to, but you know how it goes. Sometimes work gets in the way of doing what you actually care about. Not forever, though, hopefully. But you can keep the conversation going over in Discord. If you are not a member and are interested in becoming a member, that is the first link in the description of this video and all of our most recent videos. Plenty of information about the perks that come with being a member. One that is coming up soon on the horizon is a little early access to my redraft draft plan which I will be going in the lab for probably as soon as next week, with it being the first week of July. So plenty of perks available there. Feel free to check it out. If you have any questions, you can, of course, let us know. But we would love to have you. And, you get an additional stream out of us each week, which I personally love doing.
Yeah, those ones are always fun.
Yeah, they're a good time. I think that does it for us for today, though. Everybody have a great weekend, a great 4th of July weekend.
Absolutely.
Have fun, stay safe, and we will see you guys back here next week after the holiday, and we will continue the tight end discussion. But till then, thanks as always.
Yeah, be safe out there. Don't light any trees on fire with your fireworks. But enjoy
do
yourselves.
not Jason Pierre-Paul your hand.
There you go. Yeah, peace, y'all.
All right, have a good night, everybody.